Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness. First note, checked it off. Dance up to the podium, right? Okay, so good morning again, everybody. It's so great to be with you again this morning. The reason that I dance up to the podium, in case you're not sure, and wondering what's going on with her, our theme this year is dancing with our powers, right? And it started back in January, the very beginning of the year. It's dancing with our powers. And so I decided I'm dancing every time I get invited here. I may never get invited back next year, I don't know, but we'll see. But I think it's important to remind ourselves as often as possible that that's our theme. Dancing for me means joy. I studied dance for about 16 years, from the time I was 3 until I was about 19 years old. And although I didn't make it my profession in the end, it's in my heart, and it brings me joy, right? And so I invite you to dance whenever you feel like it, whenever you feel the need to do it. Maybe you need a little extra reminder of joy. Go ahead and dance. It's worth it. Last week when I was here, I started the lesson or the talk, rather, it's not really a lesson, the talk on looking beyond appearances, right? We have these unity principles in our lives, and some of them are like God is everywhere present, God is all good and everywhere present, and people are inherently good because we come from God, we come from the divine, from the Creator, whatever word you use to define God. And I invited you to look beyond the appearances, because the power of understanding is all about looking beyond appearances, right? The spiritual power of understanding is defined as the ability to know, to perceive, to comprehend, to intuit, right? Anybody have some experience with intuition every once in a while, right? Even if you don't follow it. I do that all the time, right? I knew I was supposed to turn right instead of left. End up going on a completely different highway, right? But that intuition, and it's not about what I see physically in front of me, it's about what I am intuiting. And if I'm really thinking about it, if I'm really focused on it, then I know that Spirit is guiding me all the time. I might listen maybe 10% of the time. No, wait a minute, I'm an ordained minister, 20% of the time, right? That's about right. Because regardless of whether I'm a reverend or a licensed teacher or a member of this church or whatever the case may be, we're all spiritual beings having a human experience, and boy, those human experiences get in the way. Sometimes, for me anyway, right? So we're talking about looking beyond what we see. And I started last week's talk reminding us that, every time we look at social media, every time we look at a news article, every time we are looking anywhere, we're bombarded with what appears to be a lot of negativity, right? And it doesn't really matter what our opinions are or what we think. There's a lot of so-called evidence out there that people are calling each other by names, not nice names, right? You're wrong, you're wrong. And we're not listening to each other, right? So I kind of brought that up a little bit last week as well. We have to look beyond the appearances. We have to be willing to open our minds and our hearts and our ears to listen to each other. stop the name calling and start figuring out how we're going to work together. And so, lo and behold, what happens this morning is the daily word pops up. And the word is courage. God within me is the source of my courage, right? Would you agree that we need courage right now? For a wide variety of reasons, we need courage. So I'm going to suggest maybe we start calling forth that divine courage that we have within us, right? The very first statement in the daily word reading today says, worrisome and challenging events may leave me thinking I don't have the courage to face them. How did they know what I was going through? How did they know? We all have different ways of dealing with what's going on around us, whether we're talking nationally or globally or just in our own little worlds. We all have different ways of facing these issues. And so I am suggesting to you that that power of understanding can be used with other powers as well. Remember last week I talked about the power of wisdom, right? Making wise choices, yes? And so we combine them, but that power of understanding helps me with that power to know the truth, with a capital T, the absolute truth. Not the other kind of truth that my truth might be different from your truth, might be different from your truth, and so on and so forth, right? It's based on our experiences and our filters, etc. But then there's that higher truth where our higher selves are connected. What I'm going through may feel like too much to bear. Boy, have you been there lately? I have, you know. I mentioned last week also about the fact that, as one person, I feel like I can't make much of a difference. How can I fix all of this? Right? Now, I will admit that I used to come from that idea that if you just knew I was right, and if you just did things my way, everything would be fine. And I wouldn't have to get upset. Right? I've outgrown that a little bit. Not completely. It was really important for me to realize that you understood how right I was. Okay. I have a different understanding today, and I tap into that power of understanding. I want to perceive. I want to go deeper. I want to use that power to help me in this time that is appearing to be extremely chaotic, extremely negative, because the truth of the matter is there's a lot of good going on out there. There's a lot of good going on out there, and a lot of it has to do with because of what's happening, the goodness is having a chance to come through stronger and prouder than ever before. But we have to be willing to look for it. We have to be willing to consider that there might be some good going on out there, right? I looked up a daily word specifically on the subject of understanding, and I found one for July 17th. So what's today, the 13th? So in 4 days, you'll see this pop up. It's about understanding, and it says, I practice understanding and find peace. Well, yes, please, sign me up, because I want some peace. I would love that, right? It says, today I will stop turning things over in my mind, trying to understand the whys and the hows of what is before me. Hear that again. Today I will stop turning things over in my mind, trying to understand the whys and the hows of what is before me. How many people have come to me and said, I don't understand why they are doing this. I don't understand why this group is doing that. I don't understand why. Let it go. if you remember from last week as well, and I'm saying it again so that you can get it this week, is my whole point for 2025's messages is look at your beliefs, ask yourself, do you still believe them? And if the answer is yes, how are you demonstrating this? It's not about judging other people for not doing it. It's about how am I showing people that God is everywhere present? How am I showing people that people really are inherently good? If your answer is no, I don't think I still believe this anymore, that's okay. What? It is okay to question. It is okay to explore. It is okay to say, I'm not sure I think this way anymore. But I'm going to say to you, be willing to dive deeper. Why don't I feel this way anymore? If I don't believe that God is everywhere present, right? Could it be because I don't see it physically in front of me anymore when I turn on Facebook and every other post is negative in nature? Could that be why I don't think that everybody is inherently good? Could be. It could be I'm not seeing enough puppies or kittens. My favorite, there's a couple down in Florida that have 2 Siberian Huskies and 2 golden retrievers. And they are the most adorable 4 dogs I've ever seen in my life. But when they take their owner for a walk, it's the funniest thing. So that's my go-to place, my happy place. If I really need to relax a little bit, I always watch a couple of those little reels. They're like 30 seconds long. I love them. But the point is, the point of my talk today is to invite you on this journey with me. Keep looking at your beliefs. If you believe it, what are you doing to demonstrate it? The only way that I believe that we are going to see change in the world, see change in Connecticut, in Massachusetts, in the country, in the world, the only way we're going to do it is if more and more people start demonstrating these qualities. Demonstrate these powers out loud to the people around you. That is the only way that change will take place. Stop turning things over in my mind. My goodness, how many nights of sleep have I missed, right? When I get really worried about something. If I'm worried about something that the administration might do, what am I going to do to stop that? Except sit there and worry. That doesn't help me at all, right? And then I have to go back into my belief system and remember that no matter what challenge I have faced, I have always survived. I wouldn't be here otherwise. I'm here with you now. Every difficult challenge that you have faced in your lives, and I know that we have all gone through some very difficult challenges. No matter what, we have survived. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't stand up for what is right, okay? Don't get me wrong. But what I'm saying is that I have to remind myself that I'm okay. Right here, right now, I am okay. And seek those divine ideas that come to me all the time because there's an infinite supply of them. You won't run out of divine ideas. They come to me. What is mine to do next? For some people, it's going out and it's writing to representatives in their government. For other people, it's out and going and holding up peaceful protest signs, peaceful, nonviolence, that kind of thing, participating in that kind of stuff. For other people, it's about taking care of the more vulnerable people in the community, right? There's always something for us to do, depending on what you're reacting to, depending on what is getting your attention. Is this making sense? Okay. if we have good as the focus, right? If we are striving to be of maximum service to others, then there's a ton of ways we can do that. And as many people as there here are here in the sanctuary today, there could be that number of different ideas of how we could actually demonstrate that, right? Show others. It's the phrase lead by example, right? I had a friend in my life. I've had several friends like this in my life who were really, really, really struggling with life. It didn't seem like they could do anything right. They just couldn't get it together no matter what they tried. Of course, I had a plan for them, but they wouldn't listen. Just as an aside, there were people in my life that had a plan for me and I wouldn't listen to them either, so that's the other side of the coin. But something happened to these people, and they found a group of people that they resonated with. And that group of people kind of took them under their wings and helped them out. And suddenly, I see these few people, and they are glowing. They are like healthier looking than they've ever looked before, and they're sharp, and they're answering questions. You know, have you ever, like sometimes when we're a little bit I know when I'm tired, if somebody says, what time is it? I'll say, yes, I'll have a cup of coffee. Thank you very much. You know, like I'm not really paying attention. I'm not focused, right? So, but I've seen this kind of miraculous changeover happen to people. And I believe that part of it is because they are starting to listen to that power of understanding, right? That intuition that is inside of them going, yeah, you know what? I think I should hang out with this group of people. Maybe their ideas are on point. Maybe my way isn't working anymore. That was the hardest thing for me to admit. And I promise you that when I was in my 20s and 30s, my way was definitely not working, and I was not going to allow anybody to tell me how to do it different. I was stubborn as all get out. I knew best. Everything was falling apart, but I knew best, right? There are lots of ways that this power of understanding can work through people. It can work through people in our lives. It can work through us. And because we believe in this connection, right? There is no separation. We hear that in unity all the time. There is no separation. So even when you're in a Zoom meeting and you see this box and this box, which is, you know, an enhanced version of Hollywood Squares, in my opinion, that TV show. But when you're looking at that, even though it looks like we're separate, we're really connected, right? And the really cool part, when I really tuned into this at first, it really blew me away. There is nothing, absolutely nothing that can break that connection. You can try. You could be my friend and then you can say, I'm not your friend anymore, and I'm still connected to you. You cannot get rid of me. You cannot. There's no way. You can try to avoid me, but I'm still going to be in your ear, right? You're going to see me dancing for the rest of your lives. I want to try and tie this all together, and I'm not really sure I can. I go off on tangents. You know, I had no intentions of talking about that daily word from today for courage, but I thought it really tied in really well to it. We do need courage. Somebody here may even feel like they need the courage to get up and get out of bed. To be honest with you, it could happen. I'd like to think that we as a family at Unity of Greater Hartford, we are there for you if that's a struggle. And I would like to say that if you do get up out of bed, that's great. Keep putting one foot in front of the other. And the rest of us, let's lead by example of how we get up out of bed, how we put one foot in front of the other, and we keep moving forward. Right? I'm going to admit to you that my biggest challenge in life is that when I'm faced with a difficulty beyond imagination, I've had a few in my life, when I'm faced with something like that, if I can't see a solution right away, like I can't sit there and go, okay, A, B, and C has happened, so now I need to do D, E, and F, and everything will be okay. If I can't see a solution, you know what my mind does? My human mind. My human mind goes to, there must not be one. And I didn't know that for a long time, that that's what I was doing. I know it's a little egotistical to think that if I don't know of a solution, there must not be one. I realize that. But actually, it was really a problem for me. And I'm not talking about when I was in my 20s and 30s. I'm talking later on down the road. I realized that as much as I was learning from unity principles, and I was in school, and I'm an LUT, and then I'm a minister, and blah, 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 all that stuff, and then I realized I'm still having the same reactions to certain things. Why is that? And it was because I wasn't tapping into that power of understanding. I wasn't trusting the powers that I have. I was going with that human stuff, right? I can't think of a solution, there must not be one. And that was actually dragging me down and holding me back big time, right? And so the idea is that we get to share this together. We get to share ideas together. Whatever I have said here today, I hope somebody takes something back with them that they can work with. Look at your beliefs. If you believe still in whatever your belief is, how are you demonstrating it? And if not, why do you think you're not believing it anymore? And just sit with it. No judgment, by the way. I have to tell you that. Very, very important. Do not judge yourself for being wrong. So if I come up to somebody and I say, hey, do you believe in God? And they know the right answer better be, they should say yes, right? If they say no, how courageous that is, right? Or if they say, I don't know, think about how courageous that is. So don't judge yourself for the answers that are coming up. What you want to do is you want to get to know yourself. We all love you. You all love me. I know that. We get that. I can see the Christ light is on in every single one of us here, right? And so, let me leave you with this thought. There is no separation. We're responsible for taking any necessary actions that we are called to take. So I don't tell you what steps to take. You don't tell me what steps to take. We take whatever steps we are drawn to taking in that moment. And I'll bet you we will see some magnificent things happening, regardless of appearances. Are you with me? Yes. And so it is. Amen.